Alright everyone, so in the last video, what I did was I showed you some tricks for trying to find a bug. But the best way to deal with bugs is to try to ensure that they don't arise in the first place. And there are some tricks that you can use for that. Now the particular kind of bug that we went hunting for in the previous video was a spelling bug. So I'm going to give you a tip for avoiding, I'm going to give you a couple of tips for avoiding spelling bugs. So one way to avoid spelling bugs is not to spell anything. So if you look at things like this, ghost visibility, we've got a value here which is visible. And because there's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 letters in the word, there's like 7 opportunities for a spelling mistake. You can reduce that a lot by changing something like visible into just the number 1. And then invisible would be the number 0. And you'd have to remember that that's what they meant when you're reading the code. Or you'd have to kind of figure out that that's what they mean when you read the code. So you lose a little bit of readability if you do this. But that's one way that you can do things, and it kind of reduces the chance of a spelling error. I'm going to look at a different way of doing things that also reduces the chance of a spelling error. So this alternative method, and this is particularly useful in Scratch, might not be quite as useful in other languages, is you make a variable that carries the spelling permanently. So I'm going to make a variable, make it for all sprites. I'm going to call it visible. And then I'm just going to put it in here. And now that the word visible has been changed into a block, it's always going to be spelled the same way. And even if it's misspelled, that doesn't matter, because it's always going to be misspelled the same way. So as far as Scratch is concerned, it doesn't matter if you incorrectly spell something. As long as you always spell it the same way, it doesn't matter. So this is going to make sure that you always do spell it the same way. Now, this isn't everything you have to do. What you have to do as well is you have to make sure that visible, so set visible, and here's the only place where you type it out. So you set it once and for all. Where? Well, maybe at the beginning of the game. So underneath the green flag, you set it once and for all that this forever from now on will just mean the word visible. It's just a block. So I'm just making the block equal to the word. And then, of course, I would want to make a variable that's called invisible. And then I do the same thing for that. Set invisible to invisible. And this just means that this variable now has that value, and since nothing else changes it, it's just going to keep that value forever. And so as I say, this is just a simple way of turning typewritten words into blocks. So here we have visible, and having set up visible and invisible in this way, I can now go over to ghost and just look for it there as well. So here's an invisible. So I'll just drop invisible in there. Here's a visible. So drop the word visible in there. This just keeps everything nice and consistent. Invisible. I'll make that this. And visible. Makes that this. It's important that you never ever change the values of visible and invisible. They always equal the words themselves. Put visible in there, and then that's that. And then go over to lightning. And is it there anywhere? Nope, it's not there anywhere. So we can do the same things with over and not over. I could just change them into blocks by making them into variables. So that's an option that you can take if you want. I'm going to assume in the rest of the videos and the accompanying worksheets that you haven't done this, so all the code is going to look like this, and not like the way that I just did it, like this. So this is an option. It's just a way of kind of avoiding errors. And if you like the look of it, then go ahead and do it. Either way, I will see you in the next video. Bye. Thank you for listening, and if you find this video useful, please hit like and subscribe.